Oh no, we can't do our mission because we're out of milk. Guess we better get some at this new planet. Hey, we just need to get some milk.
We don't like Mandalorians, but we'll give you some milk if you kill the warlord monster bandit that's been using our Wi-Fi. Okay, well, here's your milk. Wait a second.
Oh no, Baby Yoda drank all the milk.
Good morning, sweet world, and welcome to another No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. Today's classic, brought to you by Neutral Vodka Seltzer, made with real vodka, real seltzer, and real juice. It's Neutral, the one with the umlaut. It's Thursday, March 9th, 2023. I'm J.E. Skeets here in the Classic Factory, and alongside me, as always, that's Tas Mellis.
Podcast listeners, this is for you.
Next to Tassie is the bearded one, my top shot hot boy, Trey Kirby.
Hey-o.
Hey-o. And last but not least, over yonder, making the magic happen, super producer JD.
Hello.
There he is, and Eshwa is in the background. He'll be helping us out throughout this show. Shout out to the stream team joining us live right now on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up, comment away, subscribe to No Dunks. A lot of you subscribed yesterday to No Dunks. We absolutely love to see it. As we make our way to 100,000 subs, get any and all of your No Dunks merch over at nodunks.com. Hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, we got it all. And later today, if you are a Survivor fan, at 1 p.m. Eastern, we got a new No Buffs podcast recapping episode 2 of Survivor 44. It was a great one. Lots of fun scenes to dissect, and we'll be talking again at 1 p.m. Eastern. Search for No Buffs. It's got its own YouTube feed, its own podcast feed. Me, JD, TK, talking about that episode. But, guys, let's bring in our special guest to talk about last night's games, the big storylines in the NBA. He is a television and film writer who wrote the adapted screenplay for the new film Champions, which is a heartwarming sports movie about beating the odds, guys. It premieres this Friday. That's tomorrow, March 10th. It stars Woody Harrelson and Caitlin Olsen of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia fame. Yes, Sweet D herself. You just heard him on Is This Good? Now he's on the big show. Happy to bring in Mark Rizzo. What's up, Mark?
Not much, just pinching myself. It's a dream come true. I'm a longtime loyal listener, sicko, and it is just a thrill to be on here. I go way back with y'all, so thank you so much for having me on.
Well, you were fantastic on Is This Good? That was like your audition to get on this one here, and you knocked it out of the park, I thought.
I was sweating it. Matty, it's not easy going toe-to-toe with Matty O and JD. It's a challenge.
Well, if you can talk to them, you can easily talk to us about basketball.
Yeah, we're so friendly. But I like the idea that we now have like a car wash you can go through here at the Classic Factory. Multiple shows where you can get in, get that exposure, and also thank you, Mark, for the exposure, visiting nodunks.com, picking up one of the most gorgeous t-shirts I've ever seen.
Thank you so much.
Looking great.
Yeah, it's funny. Speaking of the car wash, I thought about like going back and watching 40 seasons of Survivor to catch up.
So you could come on No Buffs, yeah.
There's just not enough time.
That's okay. Look, before we get into your thoughts on the NBA and what's going on in the games last night, just quickly, like, how did this Champions movie come about? It is an adapted screenplay. Yeah. When did it fall into your lap? How long did it take you? Yeah, take us through that.
Well, I guess it was 2018, I had changed to a new agent, and I let her know, one thing you should know about me is that I'm a basketball sicko. Anything basketball that comes across your desk, send it my way because I'd love to do it. And lo and behold, not too long after that, she got a hold of this film, Campeones, a film by Javier Fesser in Spain that was wildly successful. It won the 2018 Goya Award, which is the equivalent of the Spanish Oscar for Best Picture. I think it beat Almodovar that year. Like, it was a sensation. And she sent me the film to watch. And, like I said on Is This Good? I'm just a guy being a dude. I got to grind it out. I had to put together a pitch, go in and let them know what I would like to do with it. And I distinctly remember going into that meeting and coming out and thinking to myself, well, there's no way in hell I got that job. And here we are 5 years later, and the movie is a reality, and it's out in theaters.
And it was filmed up in Canada, in Winnipeg, to be exact. And you said, like, you're such a basketball fan. I know you love to hoop, too. Like, Did you get a chance to be on set? Did you get to go to Canada? You know, obviously shooting a lot of stuff in gyms in this movie. Or was because of the COVID pandemic, it kept you away from the gym and you couldn't get your hand on a basketball up there with them?
I'm still holding on to that dream of playing one-on-one with Woody Harrelson. I'm ready to cook him. I'm ready. And he knows it. He knows it.
Oh, wow.
I told his manager he's on notice. He's on notice. I'm small, but I'm scrappy. I've got that Jalen Brunson game. But at any rate, no, I did not get to go on set because of COVID. I stayed here. And unfortunately, I couldn't go. But I did stay involved in the production. And every day I was on the phone or on a Zoom like this with producers and the director, the great Bobby Farrelly.
Yeah.
And
Dumb and Dumber or something about Mary. Yeah.
Yeah. If you like to laugh, we've got the director for you, Bobby Farrelly. And so, so I stayed involved in the production that way. And what was great was they were giving me feedback on our actors, because here's the thing about the COVID pandemic period of time. You've heard of it.
Yes.
Everything had to be done remotely, even the casting. So the casting was done via Zoom and tape. And so when the cast assembled, it was really the first time being in a room together. And so I know Bobby and Woody and Caitlin and everyone learned a lot about our newcomers who comprised the basketball team while we were shooting. So I was getting a lot of feedback from them and ways to kind of write to their strengths and punch up their characters along the way.
Did you know early on that Woody was going to be attached? So when you're adapting the screenplay, you're thinking, this is going to be the white man can't jump guy.
No, I had no idea. You know, when you get these jobs, you just think, well, thank God I'm getting paid to write. And oh my God, thank God I'm getting paid to write about basketball. Like, this is fantastic, right? And then if it's going to get made, if anything gets made, it's a miracle. So you just kind of write it to the best of your ability. And hopefully it has a wide appeal and that the story and the characters are strong enough to appeal to an actor like Woody. And luckily that's what happened. And once he got on board, we were on rails. So
were there any other sports movies that you were like drawing inspiration from besides the movie that you obviously adapted the screenplay from?
Yeah. Bad News Bears, the original, is an all-time favorite. And you guys showed the poster that has like strong Bad News Bears vibes. Yeah. And when I saw that, I almost fell over. Yeah. I mean, that's the spirit we want to invoke, that kind of ragtag, rough and tumble kind of filmmaking. Like, it's so funny. This is a little callback from Is This Good? But one of my favorite things about rewatching the original Bad News Bears, not only is it Jackie Earl Haley doing donuts in center field on his motorbike, like a badass, but also in the air hockey scene where he's on that date with Tatum O'Neal, and you can see the boom mic dribbling in. I'm like, these guys were running and gunning. Maybe Walter Matthau was throwing a 40 over to the boom operator. Who knows? But apparently we have our own version of the boom mic because, JD, what's the name of the Canadian store that you can see in the background that gives us away?
No Frills.
No Frills.
Oh, yeah. No Frills, the grocery store. That's
a
Canadian classic, yeah.
Bummer. But at any rate, yeah, we shot Winnipeg to double as Des Moines, Iowa.
Right.
And then, just to give you an idea of how running and gunning we were being on this shoot, we then shot Winnipeg for Winnipeg.
Well, there you go.
Nice.
Do you?
Yeah.
I guess the good thing is that nobody would believe No Frills is a real grocery store anyways.
Actually,
you look at the branding, you're like, no way, that's not real.
Yeah, it actually inspired the name of this show.
Yes, little known fact. Besides Champions, which again comes out tomorrow, do you have like a ranking, like a 1, 2, 3 of your favorite basketball movies of all time, Mark? I know I'm putting you on the spot there.
Wow. I got to say White Man Can't Jump.
Okay. Yeah.
Like,
number one.
Contractually, you're obligated to say so? Or?
Woody has forced you to say that.
Well, I would like to work with Woody again. He is a rainmaker. And I would say He Got Game.
Okay.
After that, I'm going to be really boring. Hoosiers is amazing.
Okay.
It is an amazing movie. I thought for sure you were going to go with Semi-Pro for your third choich.
Oh, yeah, right.
Another
I'm not
Woody
that much of
vehicle.
a suck up. What a Hollywood suck up idea if I did that. Fish That Saved Pittsburgh, shout out. Like there's a lot of honorable mention out there, but those are my three. Got to go with the classics. We are in the classic factory.
We are.
Classics only. Guys, I just want to say, I worked in an actual factory.
You did? What'd you make?
I made CDs. I made compact discs. And yes, that's how long ago it was. And we did make some classics.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
what'd you print up? What's your favorite printing?
You know what? I don't know if it's my favorite printing, but the one we made a lot of that year was we made a lot of Dookie. A lot of Green Day Dookie.
Wow.
Interesting.
I had it on CD.
So much Dookie.
Okay, so hey, you slipped it in, Mark. You slipped in like a comparison to Jalen Brunson. Are you a Knicks fan or just a Brunson fan? Like, which NBA team do you cheer for?
I am a diehard Knicks fan.
Okay.
Lifelong, and yeah, I'm having a great year. I'm not. I like to say that I'm an even-keeled Knicks fan. It's been hard. I try not to get too excited. I try not to get my hopes up. But yeah, I am a diehard Knicks fan. I love Brunson. I love what he brings to the team. You can really see the impact. Like, we don't have to get too deep into the hoops right now, but like, you can really see the impact in terms of the temperament of the team.
Yeah.
They're a much more mature bunch this year.
You liking their chances to make some noise here in at least a first round playoff matchup? Let's say it's against the Cavs. It's appearing like it could be a 4-5 versus Cleveland. I
know this is the hot topic. We all want the Donovan Mitchell Bowl so Stephen A can get his LOL Knicks jokes off. I like their chances. I really do. I think they have a lot of heart. No pun intended, because they have Hartenstein and Hart, the heart-to-heart connection.
The Hart Foundation.
Heart-to-heart, underrated procedural from the 1980s. Starring Robert Wagner.
Wow, you are old.
Yeah, this guy used to work in a CD factory, and he's dropping.
It's a miracle I can still play ball.
Yeah.
I'm shooting 2-on-2 with Robert Wagner later. But seriously, I do think they have a puncher's chance because they have an identity now. Mm-hmm. That was the thing. I feel like they spent the first half of the season really trying to figure out who they were and shuffling through the rotation and dealing with the agendas of who you have to play because of the money on their contract. And at a certain point, Tibbs had his come to Jesus moment. He went to that 9-man rotation, and everything has been a lot better since.
Yeah.
But, Brunson is still out. He's questionable tonight for Sacramento. That worries me. And we cannot afford an extended Jalen Brunson absence. I feel like Emmanuel Quickley might be my favorite player in the NBA because of the pure, unadulterated joy he plays with. Mm-hmm. But you see, after a performance like he had in that double overtime game against the Celtics, there's a come down after that. You can't sustain that. You need Trey, the Tibbs drill. He's going to play you. And,
he's going to play you.
You know what? If he plays the joy out of Emmanuel Quickley, then I'm out on Tibbs.
Yeah, okay.
But right now, I'm very much in on Tibbs.
Okay.
Exactly. Quickley is still young enough that he can handle playing 55 minutes. It's just at the end of things, when he's getting to be about 30 years old, that it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm surprised they're not trotting out Derrick Rose for 25 minutes. But,
Yep.
Well, let's get into some of last night's specific games and storylines. And we did have a wedgie. Yeah, Mark, you're on the show here, and you brought us some wedgie luck, number 41. It was a Raptors wedgie. It was on a foul. Fred VanVleet drawing the foul there on Batum and stuck it. Man, they did not let that one breathe, but a foul is a foul. I saw Eric Kareen. He did want to confirm on Twitter last night. It happened on shooting fouls. It's still a wedgie. You bet your ass it is.
Yeah, I had a fever dream that the PA announcer in the arena said, "That's a wedgie." I turned up the volume to hear. Did that actually happen? It was just a dream. It was just a dream. I made it up in my mind.
Well,
we saw a pigeon last night in our Skyhawks game that we'll get to. They're happening all over the place.
Yeah, so wedgie number 41. But the big story last night, Mark, was Kevin Durant injuring himself in warm-ups. And I know we have a clip, and so we'll show it to everybody here on YouTube. Now, I read from the Arizona Republic this morning that they are saying there's concern within the organization that Durant has a grade 2 sprain, which would keep him out between 4 and 6 weeks.
Wow.
This, again, happened in warm-up. You see the ankle fold over there.
That's surprising.
And he didn't play in the game. Now, the Suns went on to win this. I mean, Booker was lights out. He had 44. Terrence Ross had a great game. But a KD injury of any significance here possibly changes the Western Conference landscape. So what's your sort of takeaway here from this wild random injury from Durant, Mark.
Truly a banana peel moment.
Yeah.
I keep looking. Someone's going to Photoshop that in there, I'm sure. It would be in poor taste because my initial reaction is just sadness that we just don't get to see this guy ball out. He is such a pure player, and it was really brewing. There was a great race brewing there in the West. I would hate to see him miss extended time. And I always look at basketball from the standpoint of a writer, and I see the players as like in this human drama and the characters, and like my heart breaks for KD, and I'm really interested to see how he handles this adversity. He does seem to be, in certain ways he seems to be very hypersensitive, but in other ways he's very grounded, and I have a lot of faith that he's going to bounce back from this when he does. But it really does shake up the West, and to me, it's part and parcel with this whole year. I feel like this is the most up for grabs season we've had in a long time, and it makes it a lot more fun. I feel like we're really living in the suspense, right, of the drama of the season, and this is just another really unfortunate plot turn.
It would be surprising if it is a long-term injury because he finished his on-court work after that. It's not like he went off right after it, and Booker after the game tried to settle Suns fans by saying, quote, he's fine. It's just a roll. We'll get him right, and we'll have a debut another day. I don't know if you come out and say that if you don't know that there's an injury. But if it's a short-term injury, I know you want to get all the reps possible, but then Devin Booker goes out and shows that he can carry the team for a while, obviously. 44. Cool 44.
In 28 minutes.
He's been on fire right now.
Yeah.
He wanted to go for 50. He knew with Durant out, he could get every other shot. 7:26 left in this game. They yanked him out. They're up 33 points, and he just sat there and said, come on, Monty. He didn't want to come off the floor because he knew he could take every shot he wanted. Yeah, he just wanted to stay on. You want a sicko stat. Mark, you're a sicko. This is a real sicko stat. Devin Booker had 6 threes last night. Tied his career high. He's done that 21 times in his career. Never had 7, but he's done 6 21 times.
Weird.
Why'd Monty sub him out there? Jeez, I'm with Booker on this one.
That's a sicko stat from fan Dale Trey pointed that out. Dale Trey 5 on Twitter. That's pretty unbelievable.
That's wild. Yeah. I mean, don't put a ceiling on Devin Booker, but maybe 6
the
is
ceiling is 6, 6 3-pointers made. He was lights out. Well, I mean, Mark, you're a writer, and you slipped it in there. Some people think the NBA is completely scripted. So this KD injury. Last night, Luka leaves the game against the Pelicans. He's set to have an MRI.
That one doesn't look good.
On his thigh. So it sounds like you would like to, get your hands on the NBA script here and do a couple edits and take out some of these injuries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The injuries are heartbreaking. And I don't know, maybe it's because we follow the league with more of a fine tooth comb as fans now, but it does feel like the injuries are popping up more and more and more. And it makes you really appreciate the guys who are durable. And, I always hate when they talk about guys being injury prone. I just feel like bodies are bodies and we're vulnerable as human beings. That's the writer in me. I have I try to have compassion for all my characters, right? And so I want to have compassion for all of these guys. Even when you're face palming when Anthony Davis hits the floor again and you're holding your breath, but it's terrible. And just shameless plug for a New York Knick, Julius Randle, a player who is, maddening to root for in a lot of ways. He's played in every game this year.
Yeah.
And you love to see it. Now, he did joke about maybe taking off a day for rest after that 2 overtime game, and I kind of wish he did.
Yeah.
Because he did. He looked gassed, and every Knicks fan, our secret fantasy is to see Obi Toppin play 36 minutes. I don't know if we really want to see that, but for one game, I'd take it.
Yeah. You said that you think the Luka one's even more.
Oh, yeah, it looks more significant because it didn't happen in this game. It happened last weekend, but it's just been lingering, and he was hobbling for the first 2.5 quarters, really, and then the third quarter he just said enough, bench. And he is the opposite of injury prone. He plays through everything, and so it is a little surprise. He said after the game, Booker said, Durant will be back. Luka said, this is at least a week. He's already diagnosing himself. It's at least a week. There's only 4+ weeks left in the regular season.
Right.
Luka and Kyrie have not played together all that much, and this one was close down the wire, and they lose to a hot CJ who was scorching everybody. They got some little guard defensive problems, and he finished it off. So that is worrisome that if you take Luka's word for it, at least 25% of the regular season is going to be gone for him and Kyrie to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the silver lining for the Mavericks is that at least now they have Kyrie, somebody to kind of pick up the slack if Luka's going to be missing a little bit of time here. But the Mavs are in a position where they got to win every single game. Basically, it's playoffs already in the Western Conference, and you want Luka on the court. And he picked up another tech last night, so whenever he comes back from the injury, he will be close to facing a suspension. I saw different reports.
One more.
Yeah, I saw 16 in some places. I saw 15 in some places. He'll get another one in the next couple of weeks when he comes back and have to miss a game. So, I don't know. You're talking about 4 or 5 games missed out of 15 or 16 left. That's a lot.
Yeah. Well, speaking of technicals, let's get to Fred VanVleet, who blasted referee Ben Taylor for his officiating during the Raptors' 108-100 loss to the Clippers last night. Here's a taste. We have a clip.
I mean, I don't mind. I'll take a fine. I don't really care. I thought, Ben Taylor was fucking terrible tonight. I thought that on most nights, a couple of the, out of the 3, there's 1 or 2 that just fucked the game up, and it's been like that a couple games in a row. Denver was tough, obviously. You come out tonight, you're competing pretty hard. The third quarter, I get a bullshit tech, changes the whole dynamic of the game, changes the whole flow of the game. And, most of the refs are trying hard. I like a lot of the refs are trying hard. They're pretty fair. They communicate well. And then you got the other ones who just want to be dicks and it just kind of fucks the game up. Nobody's coming to see that shit. They come to see the players.
Okay, so VanVleet is going to be a little lighter in the wallet here. I'm sure in hours we'll find out whatever the fine is. Mark, my first question off of this clip, and if you're watching on YouTube, Mark has literally got his hands to his head. He can't believe what VanVleet just said.
Are my eyebrows still here?
Yeah.
I feel like I've been scorched.
Yeah, no, he wasn't holding back there. What's the rating on Champions? Any F-bombs in the movie?
We are PG-13.
Okay.
Which means you have an F-bomb budget of 1.
Oh, okay.
So, hey, that's a fun game to play. When are we going to spend that 1 F-bomb? And I got to tell you, the original script was littered with profanity. But we had to clean up our act to get the PG-13 rating, which was hard. And I'm really proud of where we spent our 1 F-bomb. So when you go to theaters, hang in there. And I want to say... it's late in the film, so
nice.
Look at that.
Yeah, keep you in suspense.
Okay.
Yes. There's a lot of A bombs and S bombs going off,
right?
But that big F bomb,
all right,
that comes later.
Well, okay. Well, let's get your reaction to VanVleet there and how upset he was with. I think there was a lot of frustration, obviously, not just from last night's call against him. He said, by the way, VanVleet said he told his teammates, let's keep playing through the bullshit. And that's what he got the tech for. That's what VanVleet is saying. So, bad call. He's frustrated. Similar to Scotty Barnes in a way. And then,
not actually directed at the referee.
Yeah, it's more of like these dicks can't make a call right to save their life. And that's what's getting them a tech. But, yeah, what do you think, Mark?
Well, first of all, a man with no fucks left to give right there. Just incredible. And what I love about it was how calmly he just laid it out.
It really was.
Smacked them down like that was icy. It feels like there's something escalating between the players and the officials this year.
Yep.
And I don't know how you solve it. It feels like the officials' skin is getting thinner and thinner. The director from the league seems to be like, take control of the game and let's have, better sportsmanship. But it feels like it's the way it's being doled out is leading to more and more conflict with the players and just like a real uncomfortability. I mean, I had the great pleasure recently to be in Utah to see Scott Foster officiate a game, and I'm really excited
What an honor.
to tell my grandchildren that I saw Scott Foster ref.
Hope you kept the tickets for that one.
What's burned into my brain is him before the game spinning up the ball, practicing his opening tip toss. I mean, these guys, they put in the work. But no, all due respect to them, but it does feel like there needs to be, I feel like there needs to be a restorative justice circle or something, where like the referees and the players get together and kind of hash this out, because it really does feel like it's escalating in a way that's just not great for the game.
VanVleet is frustrated with the Raptors' record. He's frustrated with what happened in Denver the other night. Obviously, that was like a much more significant tech against Barnes late in that one. He's frustrated maybe with having a new child. Who knows? Maybe he's not getting enough sleep. And he's frustrated, I think, specifically with Ben Taylor, because 3 of his 8 technicals have come against him. And one of the other ones was in a game that Taylor was a part of. I mean, he didn't call it, but that's half of his techs come in games where this guy is officiating. And he said, at a certain point as a player, you feel it's personal, and it's never a good place to be. So Freddie versus Ben here. Well, Tas, you're the Raps fan. What'd you think of those icy comments from VanVleet?
Oh, it's personal. Yeah, sure it is. Fred versus Ben. There's no doubt. It feels Chris versus Scott. It feels like a Chris Paul versus Scott Foster situation. I do agree with Mark. It feels like there is a bit of an escalation going on. The refs may be controlling the games a little too much. Let's just be honest. Maybe there's an increase in the wired segments that we hear, and the fact that everybody's mic'd, and maybe the referees, as Mark said, from the league office are coming down or asking the referees to try and control things more so it doesn't get out of hand, so we don't hear comments from the players. It feels like they're just doing a little too much. But in this instance, it just feels like a real personal vendetta and not bad officiating in this particular game. Obviously, the other day they got Scotty screwed. Let's be honest. Against the Nuggets, that was a pure screw job. It just didn't work out for the Raps. But this one feels, as you went through the stats. Usually, a player will call out the stats in a post-game press conference. You won't really find a lot of evidence. But if you got 50%, basically
from one guy,
that's pretty crazy.
Accurate. Fred's accurate, and the calmness just sells it even more.
Yeah.
If Mark turned in a script for this season that had this many blow-ups at officials, they would say, no way. This is too overboard here. We got to get the villains out of here. They're in here too much. But, like, we had the Spencer Dinwiddie tech. He said he was just clapping because he was upset, right? Yeah. That's what this one really reminds me of. Yeah. Because he's just, like, upset about the way the game is going, and he gets Dinwiddie got tossed for the first time in his career, right? And I think FVV obviously got his technical here. We had LeBron when he got hacked by Jason Tatum, didn't finish the layup, and they went on to lose that game. Mm-hmm. There have been some major blow-ups with officials, and it definitely feels contentious right now, more so than it has recently.
Yeah, and the playoffs are right around the corner.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's going to get even more intense. All right. I mean, the Raptors did not play a great game. Kawhi Leonard, I thought, looked awesome. 5 dunks, I think he had.
The one on Pirtle.
How many does the Pirtle one count for?
Yeah, that counts for like 10.
He looks good. 40 minutes played. That was a full Kawhi experience. And I know we're kind of critical of the Clippers. I thought Ty Lue's minutes distribution of Russell Westbrook and Terrence Mann was a little bit better. Less Westbrook. Would he pull him if he needed to? 5 minutes left in the third quarter was the last time Westbrook played, and listen, it worked out really, really well. He played really, really well. He's a plus 12 in his 23 minutes. It was perfect. He only had 7 points, but it was really well done while Mann played nearly 29 minutes. I think that was just better distribution. They have a deeper team than the Raps. You could see it up and down the lineup. They're just deeper. So I know we don't think they're a team to be reckoned with a lot of the time, but I think a part of why they've been so bad with Westbrook in the lineup, they have been hurt. They have been integrating a lot of different players. They have been trying to figure out the minutes pattern. So there's a lot going on with those Clippers.
Yeah. You think maybe the Clippers more than some other teams, though. I mean, it would help if KD and Booker could get minutes together, or Kyrie and Luka could get minutes together. But the Clippers need these final couple weeks here to figure out that rotation, lean into it, and march into the playoffs. I mean, maybe they'll be a threat.
Great sign that our man Kawhi is playing 40 minutes, too. He's obviously gearing up.
Yep. Let's talk about the Eastern Conference play-in race a little bit here, Mark. We had Garland scoring 25 as the Cavs held off the Heat 104-100. Obviously, there were Knicks there trying to chase down the Cavs in the standings. We had the Hawks edging the Wizards 122-120 despite Kristaps Porzingis going for 43. And then Vucevic and Zach LaVine led the Bulls to the 117-96 win over the Nuggets. So, Mark, we got the Heat staying in the 7th spot. We got the Hawks back to 500. They're now 1.5 games behind the Heat for 8th spot right now. That's where they are. The Raptors stay stuck at 9th. The Wizards are half a game back in 10th. And then the Bulls are within a game of the play-in tourney. I say all of that to ask you, Mark, of all those teams, Heat, Hawks, Raps, Wiz, Bulls even, which team do you have the most confidence in to, like, you know, not only maybe get in the playoffs, but put up any sort of fight? Or is the answer none of them? What do you think?
You know, I'm going to give, I think, probably the easy answer, and it's 3 words: Jimmy James Butler.
Yeah.
That is a bad man. Mm-hmm. He scares me. I think the Heat really struggle to score. They seem really, really offensively scattered. But I just, between Spoelstra, Bam, and Jimmy, and you know, those guys getting hot from 3, I would not want to face them in a first round series. But I was really happy for Trey when I saw Vucci Baby put up those numbers against Jokic.
Oh yeah,
you gotta love it. Vucci Baby's got to give you a little something before you end the experiment. But I think
insanity that Vucevic was the best Nikola on the court last night, but he was carving it up last night. 25 and 15. Bulls were moving the ball. That's their best win of the season. Also, probably the Nuggets' worst loss of the season. They had won 24 of their last 25 at home before somehow losing to the Bulls and giving up a ton of points, but kind of a lethargic performance. I thought by Denver, they probably just overlooked the Bulls. They got out to a hot start. They were up 10 like right away. They're like, oh, we got this game easily. But not. They didn't. No. They didn't have that game easily. But I'm with you, Mark. I think when you look at the teams who are in the play-in tournament, throwing in Chicago as the 11 seed right now, the Heat haven't been reliable at all this year, but at least they have Jimmy Butler, Eric Spoelstra, and Bam Adebayo. You think they'll probably show up for the playoffs, or at least the play-in tournament. They're likely the best team.
Yeah, that all said, the Cavs, I mean, the Heat shot 57% through most of this game, and then the Cavs just like turned it up a notch defensively, and Miami shot under 30% in that final quarter, and it was close. Hero hit a really nice three-pointer that Spoelstra drew up, little sidelines out of bounds play, to get it within 2. But then again, the Heat, they just committed so many turnovers, Tas. And they are, I think there are reports that Kyle Lowry might be coming back, maybe within the week here. And they could use sort of a floor general. I know he's had a really weird year. He's had a bad year. But they could use him, I think, to just like reduce 24 turnovers, which leads to 29 Cleveland Cavaliers points.
Well, they could use good Kyle for sure. They are a bottom 5 offense. If Kyle's ready to come back, it's been a long time since we've seen Kyle Lowry play basketball. It's since January, so yeah, he would steady it out there. But I love the order of Jimmy James Butler that Mark threw out there. In the history of the show, I don't think we've ever put Jimmy James Butler, and we love to play with names, very well done, up against Dono Mitchell. I don't know what his middle name is. Let's throw that in there. I think because Donovan Mitchell is the best player on the floor a lot of the times, and he would be in a Knicks series, I think I would take the Cavs in that series while watching this particular game against the Miami Heat, where the Heat play really aggressive, get the ball out of Donovan Mitchell's hands. I think that kind of plays into the Cavs' hands a little bit because Donovan Mitchell wants to take over all the time. And in fourth quarters, he will shoot everything. But it puts the ball in the hands of the other Cavs players who are ridiculously capable. And they're doing some Tibbs-like things in Cleveland. They only played 8 guys. They're ready for the postseason. They're ready to play those guys. And when the ball was out of Mitchell's hands, I think the guy who really looked good and was executing was the guy we sort of talk about as their 5th guy, aside from Garland, Mitchell, Allen, and Mobley, who was really solid when the ball was passed to him, was Isaac Okoro, was monstrous. 5 of 7, 13 points. He's kind of that X factor. If you can hit 3, he's shot 47 from 3 in January, 43 from February. He's getting the call to get a raise. 47 from 3 in January, 43 from 3 in February, and 3 threes in this one. If he's hitting shots, that's the guy they're going to leave open. That's the guy the Knicks are going to leave open over and over and over again in the playoffs. So that's a huge factor if he can do that.
Final one here. Tatum scored 30 to help the Celtics power past the Blazers, 115-93. I bring that up, and you can't say the Knicks because you're a homer, Mark, but who is your favorite in the Eastern Conference to come out of there? Is it the Celtics? Is it the Bucks? Or is it the Sixers? Where do you go? Or Cavs?
I went the Bucks.
Yeah, Bucks?
I like the Bucks. Absolutely. They're a complete team. They're battle-tested. Giannis has proven that he turns it up a notch when the lights are brighter. And I just have they're a hot team right now, so it's an easy answer. But over the course of the season, they're the team that just feels like they have so many weapons. I'm going to ask a question that's going to expose that I'm not in the day-to-day of it. Is Brook Lopez healthy right now?
Yeah, he's actually stringing together some decent games here recently too. Yeah, the Brook Lopez factor, the fact that they can go basically 5 out with rim protection. Yeah.
I mean, that's really hard to beat in this league. They've got the shooting. They've been there before. I like them. The Celtics certainly scare you, but you see them, they can go cold. It feels like they get a little bit 3 happy. And there's, at the beginning of the season, everyone talked about, boy, oh boy, with this Udoka scandal and bringing in Missoula, are they going to, put a foot wrong coming out of the gate? And they looked amazing. But now you're starting to feel like this team doesn't have that kind of gel factor that a team like Milwaukee that's been together a while has. So Milwaukee's the team that would scare me the most coming out of the East for sure.
Yeah, I hear that with the Celtics. I do wonder if it's and it is an excuse. It's like a built-in excuse, but we've seen it with so many teams before that have gone to finals, have done deep playoff runs. You get to this point of the season, teams get a little just bored. And they just
play with your food,
yeah, for sure. And I wonder, and there's been some injuries here and there with the Celtics roster and stuff like that. And Robert Williams III is very important to them, but like, I'm not too concerned about that. Like, they snapped this losing streak here. They got this big win. Tatum looked great. I just think it's like this malaise here of the season. That's my personal opinion on them. And we're going to have some just like epic battles between these upper teams in the Eastern Conference.
I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt because the Celtics have been playing really great basketball for about a year straight, right? They started out last season really poorly. They had to completely shift the vibes and then turn it on, went to the finals, picked up right where they left off. And finally, like, the vibes aren't perfect in Boston right now, but I think that's just a fact of playing great and playing together and playing cohesive basketball at the highest level for 14 months straight, something like that. Eventually it wears on them. They've been playing so well. So, yeah, I mean, struggling right now, but they're a playoff team. They've been a playoff team for a long, long time.
Very long.
They'll look better in the postseason.
Mark, we can't thank you enough, man, for coming on here. We're going to let you go. Champions comes out tomorrow, March 10th, in theaters everywhere, or basically everywhere, right? Can I get to say that? It felt right.
You can say everywhere.
All right.
Everywhere.
Champions.
I believe everywhere where they speak the English language, I believe.
Okay, well, there you go. So look for that, and we highly recommend you check this out. It is a really feel-good story, and if you love the underdogs and like that type of sort of sports movie, I think you're really going to enjoy this. Look at that art, too. That is gorgeous. I'm a fan of that. Put that on a T-shirt. Can we sell that in the No Dunk store? Mark, where can people find you? What's the best way to stay in touch?
I am on twitter.com at Mark V. Rizzo.
Okay. What's the V stand for?
Shoot me a follow. The V is for victory. No, it's my dad's name. It's Vincent. Okay. And I just want to say a quick thank you to you guys for all of the years of incredible just joy and fun that you put into our lives. I am an old school OG super fan. Like, I'm someone who is nostalgic for like the tweet of the night army and the shout outs. I'm wondering, how is Real Deal Neil?
Two morning poops.
I'm nostalgic for two morning poops.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about the whereabouts of Mr. and Mrs. Wooblio balls. So, I go way back with you guys, and I just want to say thank you because I know you work really hard, and this is I know what a grind is like out here. It's I've been in the screenwriting trade for nearly 20 years, and this is my first produced movie. So like, I appreciate grind, and you guys are grinders, you're dogs, and just want to say thank you so much for everything. Really appreciate you guys.
Well, congratulations on that little stat there with that movie. You're first there getting produced. So we got to get the No Dunks fam to go out and support this. So go check out Champions.
That's right. We're a community. Let's get out there and support the community.
And thank you for all the Green Day CDs too. We really appreciate it.
It was my pleasure. If I ever get down to the A and you give me 25 CDs, I can show you some amazing things I did to inspect them. I can take apart and put together a CD in its packaging in probably under 5 seconds. I still have it.
Most fascinating brag I've ever heard.
New Rubik's Cube.
CD Rubik's Cube, yeah.
Mark, thank you so much, man. We'll have to talk to you again, either in person or again here on the show. But you take care, and good luck with Champions coming out tomorrow.
Thank you, guys. Anytime.
All right, we're going to take a break.
Bye.
When we come back, we'll talk to these two guys who were down at the Skyhawks-Ignite game and a bunch of NBA news to still dissect, so don't go anywhere.
You guys want to know something that's real that sucks?
Uh-huh.
University of North Carolina is on the verge of becoming the first preseason #1 team to miss the tournament in men's college basketball history. They went to the NCAA championship game last season. They brought back a ton of vets. They recreated an old Sports Illustrated cover. Then they lost a ton of games, including twice to Duke. Unless they do well in the ACC tournament next week, it's over for UNC.
Shocking.
That's real. It sucks. You want to know something that's real and doesn't suck?
Hit me.
Neutral.
Hello.
Neutral Vodka Seltzer has arrived, made with simple ingredients like vodka, seltzer, and real juice. Neutral tastes good. Real good. So good you'll never want to drink another artificial tasting seltzer again. After Neutral's light and refreshing taste shows you what a vodka seltzer can be. Try Neutral Vodka Seltzer in a variety of real flute flavors.
It's hard to say.
Real fruit flavors.
No,
All right.
Try again.
We got real fruit flavors.
Nailed it.
Not flute favors. That's when you let your friend play the flute. This line doesn't make sense anymore. Lemonheads and crayon hunters rejoice. If you're a big fruit head, this is the place to be.
Absolutely.
Neutral is the way to go. Check them out on Instagram at NUTRL. Find Neutral in stores at your favorite bar or learn more at neutralusa.com, NUTRLusa.com. Try Neutral. It's the one with the umlaut.
By the way, I forgot to pass on this note I got from the Neutral people. Real vodka, too.
Oh,
They're like, hey, JD, could you also say there's real vodka in it, not just real fruit? I'm like, oh, I didn't know that.
Is the umlaut real?
The umlaut is real.
Okay.
The fruit is real. The vodka. It's real because some of these drinks they don't even have vodka at all in them. They're
Okay,
just
that's
like
weird.
whatever,
Yeah.
grain alcohol, whatever. So
Everything's real. All right, still here in the Classic Factory. If you're joining us live on YouTube, thank you. Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribed. We got a bunch of news to get to, but first, I need the breakdown from you two guys who were at the Skyhawks-Ignite G League game here in Atlanta last night, doing a little sideline reporting. I thought you guys were killing it, but, give me the deets. How was it? How was the game? Scoot was killing it. I mean, you went really down there to see the presumed #2 pick of the draft, Scoot Henderson. He was dominating early.
Yeah, they're playing a back-to-back, the Ignite here in Atlanta. That was the first one, and obviously some hype, a different type of atmosphere around these two games. A sellout for one of them, a near capacity for the other one, and you could tell we did a little bit in the Skyhawks locker room before the game where we did this little handshake cheer thing, and everything was dead silent.
Ooh.
They were locked in, baby.
I said, is it always like this? They said, well, it's the atmosphere of these two games. The Skyhawks were ready, as we were. That's a hawk.
Well,
Get it?
Is a part of that because
You're
there's a
watching it on
bunch
YouTube.
more eyeballs, obviously, and
they're
even
scouts.
like scouts in attendance. Yeah,
Yes.
so it's like they're there for Scoot and maybe some of the other players that are going to go high in the draft. But hey, if you're on the Skyhawks, put up a good performance and you maybe get a little more attention. So.
There were scouts in the building. Yes,
there you go.
And so they were quite aware. And yeah, the Skyhawks were ready to play. Scoot came out hot, 13 points in the first 6 minutes, and when he threw it down. He kind of scooped his hands as sort of an up and under over a reach by a Skyhawks player, and then he threw it down, showing incredible athleticism to get to the rim. The rim shook pretty freaking hard. You could see the body type. He's 19 years old. This is his second year with the Ignite. That's something sort of interesting, I think, about the Ignite system. It's not a one-and-done system. You get a 2-year program, as opposed to the NCAA, one of these alternative choices for parents, and he's looking at him from 17 to 19, he looks so different. He's got a shot. He was training for a long time pregame. Trey.
He was working hard on the shot. Working too hard on the shot, if you ask me. But Tas is right. Like, everybody talks about Scoot looking like an NBA player already. And the interesting thing is he plays on the G League Ignite with a bunch of other young guys who are also draft prospects in Leonard Miller, C.D. Sissoko, and London Johnson. I memorized these names, so I got to say them today.
Nice.
Yeah.
But these guys are young as well. And they look young. You know, whether it be their bodies aren't quite as defined, they might still have a full face from still being in their teens, or they might be completely skinny from still being in their teens. But then you look at Scoot, and the guy looks like a superhero.
Yeah.
And then he comes out, you see him get to the rim for the dunk. He also had incredible body control on this finish coming down the left baseline. John Hollinger said it on the broadcast last night. You don't see that level of athleticism and finishing usually in the G League. And that's why it was maybe a shock to the Skyhawks system coming out and seeing a guy that's an NBA caliber athlete right away. But then the game kept going, and you realize the Skyhawks are a bunch of grown men who are more mature, much better at getting back on defense, much better at making sure to push the ball on offense, and they were able to turn it around. Good times.
Yeah, they obviously were focused and turned the game around. And yeah, just watching all the G League players pregame, so much athleticism, raw athleticism. You see even Jaden Hardy had that huge throwdown for the Mavs last night. He was part of the G League Ignite program. And speaking with Jason Hart, former NBA player, now the G League Ignite's coach, he had an NBA comp for everybody. You didn't mention Leonard Miller, who is a Canadian, 6'11". He's like a Lamar Odom light, according to Jason Hart.
Okay.
A heck of a compliment. When you throw Lamar Odom out there, you could see the body type. He played point guard in Canada last year, and now Jason Hart said, you're not playing point guard here. So you got to learn some new skills and figure that out. But it was a raucous building. And yeah, there's one guy who really stands out for the Ignite. It's Scoot Henderson. He was phenomenal.
I did see my guy, though, on the Skyhawks, Brandon Williams. Another great game.
20-5.
That's right.
NBA ready.
Get him back in the league. He obviously had a cup of coffee in the league already. He will be at some point back in the NBA. I hope he gets an opportunity. I think he's a really solid point guard. Kid can shoot, so that's cool to see. Anything else? Any other fun bits you did or any other little segments?
Yeah, we went, yesterday was Wednesday. We went on Tuesday to practice and filmed a pregame warm-up with Tyson Etienne and the Skyhawks strength coach, Rich McLaughlin.
Oh, okay.
They put us through a shortened version, basically, of what these guys do before games. Getting their balance right and just getting their bodies ready to go.
Ooh, look at that explosiveness.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, this is just limbering up.
Okay.
Soon we get to the potentiating factor, Skeets. At one point, I think it didn't make the final cut, but on this very wall, we were just pushing our bodies as hard as possible into the wall. Like trying to move it.
Trying to move a screen.
Yeah, trying to move a screen, but they're basically like, you just want your body to be doing things you're going to be doing in the game.
Yeah, and that's why the band work that you quite often see an NBA player go through, it doesn't look all that interesting, right? Well, the explosiveness that Tyson Etienne, the Skyhawks player, has when he's doing that, because we got on the bands right after, is so...
high knees, fellas.
That's the form running one.
Okay.
Yeah,
now
that's the form.
This second one is where Tas has to give it his all.
Okay.
Yeah,
here we go. Let's see him go.
The bands
you
are
look cool in your jersey.
so hard to work. Yeah, so I did this with the...
Look at him, he's flying.
Yeah, it feels like you're flying. I did this with the strength coach, and then we did some hand-eye coordination. I was moving side to side. He said, "Oh, you're quicker than I thought you were."
Ooh.
The old backhanded compliment.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
backhand.
I appreciate that. It was this was what they go through pregame, and here comes Trey on the sprint. We didn't know which way to go. Oh yeah,
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I'll never forget what Coach McLaughlin said. You don't want your first sprint in the game to be your first sprint of the day. That's why they do this here. So it's like you're sprinting, but it was also hilarious to then see some of the players doing this before the game yesterday.
Yeah.
And they're pulling so hard and fast that the coach has to be like sprinting as well to keep up.
Wow.
And I'm like, he was walking at a leisurely pace behind Tas and I as we did it.
Like, why were you tapping the tennis ball and why were you catching the tennis ball?
Great question. Great question. Listening is a skill that I can improve on. I do believe.
Got to work on that pregame. Okay. Listen.
All right, well, it looked like you guys had a blast. Again, a couple of the hits that I saw live. I was watching on Peachtree. I was just pumped to fire up
local
Peachtree.
cable. I love it.
It was on ESPN Plus for a lot of other people. Yeah, I saw you guys do a hit, and I saw you talking to Hollinger definitely at one of the segments there. You talked to Scoot's parents. Yeah.
Scoot's parents, amazing. They have 7 kids.
Oh wow.
And Scoot, second youngest of them all. 3 of their daughters have gone to NCAA college. They played college ball. 4th daughter, who is younger than Scoot, just broke his high school record.
I've seen this clip.
At Cal High School, dropping 64 points. She's a senior. They just retired both her and Scoot's number. Her name is Crystal. She goes by Moochie. And because Dad Chris, as I found out, he just nicknames everybody. Like he nicknamed Scoot.
Did you get one?
Did I get one from Chris? Yeah, that's a good
Talked
question.
to him for a couple minutes?
Yeah, good question.
Bandy, they were calling him for those band sprints.
He called me Silver Fox. A lot of gray hair out there. But it is phenomenal. She wears 30 because she plays like Steph. She's going to Georgia State next year.
Oh, yeah.
They work out together, both Scoot and Moochie. She's going to be a ball. She'll be in the WNBA at some point.
Cool.
So it is pretty cool. Cool relationship that they have.
I'm very excited because I'm heading down tonight. I don't think you're going again to just watch the game there.
Basketball.
Sitting courtside to watch a little Scoot. I assume he's playing again. Fingers crossed.
I would say fingers crossed. I know that his high school, Cal High School, plays for the state championship tonight, and then his sister plays for the state championship later this weekend. Pretty impressive. Wow. The only 2 things that I had problems with last night were I'm not good at listening in an IFB. I've forgotten what that was, like trying to listen to 2 voices at the same time.
No, don't be so hard on yourself. It was tough in that building.
Yeah, I was having a hard time hearing. I was like pushing it in as hard as I could, which maybe was counterproductive.
Yeah, making it worse.
But the thing that I botched the hardest was, I'd be preparing for the interviews, thinking about the questions I want to say, never thinking about what to say at the end of the interview. So twice, to Chris Silva and to Brandon Williams, at the end of the interview, I said, "Have a good night." Just like we're old friends. All right, I'll have a good night. Talk to you later. See you later, buddy.
Yeah, you're right. We put a lot of thought into the start of an interview and the middle part of an interview, but we don't put a lot of thought into how we're going to end it.
Should be fine.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Back to you guys.
That's right.
Exactly. I should have said that. That's good at all times. Back to you, Skeets.
All right.
Yeah, our friends Dukes, Carl Dukes, John Babel on the call.
Yep.
You would have liked this. Pooh Jeter was playing last night. Hit a jumper. Dukes dropped the Jeter. No, sorry. Pooh with another deuce. Pooh dropping a deuce. Pooh making another deuce. Yeah, you would have liked it. You would have really.
You know who would have
loved
loved that? Steve Ballmer.
Yeah, you would.
We got so many toilets. You could drop so many deuces, Pooh. I'm glad you guys had a blast. I can't wait to be out there tonight. Okay. We got some news. First one, Colorado police say Grizzlies point guard Ja Morant will not face criminal charges stemming from his IG Live video in which he appeared to display a handgun at the nightclub. Shortly afterward, though, the Grizzlies announced that Ja will be away from the team for at least 4 more games. And we also just found out during this show, Tim Bontemps, I believe, had the scoop that the Grizzlies say Steven Adams got a stem cell injection in his injured knee and he's going to be reevaluated in 4 weeks, meaning he's basically going to miss the remainder of the regular season. So no more Ja for at least 4 games. Now no more Steven Adams for at least 4 weeks, the entire regular season. Brandon Clark is done for the year. Dillon Brooks is walking on pins and needles because if he gets a couple texts, he's going to miss a game after a game after a game. So holy crap. Any thoughts on any of this Grizzlies news, which really none of it great. I guess except the part that Ja Morant is, not going to face criminal charges.
Yes, the most important part, other than the basketball part, is obviously a huge blow. Huge blow. Steven Adams is really key to keeping things together on the just on the glass, I should say. Just a steady presence. Brandon Clark also, to compound that, of course. Huge issues. I think they're just trying to get things right with Ja Morant, keeping him out as long as possible. Could have easily come back, and after those, the 2 games that served as some sort of suspension. That's what this is about. Just getting him right and sitting him out for as long as possible. So, it's not a piecemeal thing where he comes back. and then there's another issue. They're just trying to get it right. This regular season, if it goes kaput, if he doesn't play for several weeks, he doesn't play for several weeks. That's, I hope, the way they're thinking about it, that they just have to get it right regardless of where they are in the standings. Even though they've had a really, really, really good year, it's more about Morant. So that's what this whole thing says to me.
Yeah, I suppose it's fortunate for the Grizzlies and for Ja that he's not being charged. I'm hopeful that he gets things heading the right way going forward as well. But it's time for the Grizzlies specifically to kind of just focus on the basketball of things and not the extracurriculars of it, because they're a team that's kind of built on being in the paint all the time, and now they don't have Steven Adams, who helps them control the paint, get in the paint. Ja Morant, one of the best paint scorers in the game. Brandon Clark, huge on the glass inside, and that's what the Grizzlies' identity has been built on for the past few seasons. Things are getting pretty tight in the Western Conference. Meanwhile, Memphis only has a 2-game lead on the Suns, so maybe they're feeling okay with Kevin Durant going down for a little bit of time here, but the Warriors are only 5 games back, which would be a huge lift for them to get up into home court advantage in one of these, but they probably are a little bit healthier than at least Memphis is right now. But I don't know, it's been a bad run here for the Grizzlies in the past 6 weeks or so.
There is still no word, by the way, from the NBA league office on any sort of sanction or reaction to Ja Morant. There is that, but he is going to miss these next 4 games. You do start to wonder if this season is just a complete wash at this point. For the Grizzlies, it sure feels that way. Not just the Ja Morant part of it, but these injuries to key players, and just how deflating that must be for the organization that was riding pretty high, and obviously were walking around like they were the champs already, and we had talked about that, and it's like, wow. What feels like a disappointing ending. Maybe they rally. I'm sort of doubtful at this point with other good teams in the Nuggets. And the Suns, though, we'll wait to find out about Kevin Durant and, the Kings and stuff like that. This other piece of news sucks, too. Former NBA star Shawn Kemp was arrested Wednesday and booked in a Washington state jail in connection with a drive-by shooting. Tacoma police said an altercation between occupants of 2 vehicles near a mall led to shots being fired early Wednesday afternoon. Now, thankfully, no injuries were reported. I'm not sure you guys will probably have a whole lot to add to this. It's a wait and see, but Shawn Kemp.
Not great
news for all the wrong reasons. Yeah. Next one. Back to injuries. Zion Williamson. He's going to miss at least another 2 weeks due to a hamstring. This guy has been sideline tasked since basically New Year's Eve. January 2nd is when that injury occurred, and we didn't think it was going to take this long, and there seemed to be a setback, and now we're left wondering, do we even see him for the rest of the year?
Yeah, that's a fair question to ask. If it's 2 weeks from now that he's going to be reevaluated, yeah, it could easily be a few weeks, and then it's the end of the regular season. I will say a couple. Let's say a positive look at it. Coach Willie Green said he's optimistic that he will return this season. The day of this report, those are 2 conflicting points of view. So I think Willie Green had no obligation to say something like that. So I think he's got some sort of feeling that he's coming back. Obviously, that's me reading into it, but also I just question why they even came out with this news. It was a timed that they sort of a scheduled report that they needed to do. Why even throw this out there at this point at all? Did they need to? I just found that sort of odd.
People want to know about the biggest star of the team.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, we're talking about it now, and no news is better news in a weird way. Like, we just wouldn't be talking about it. Wouldn't be reported on. That's so I just wonder about that aspect. Obviously, it's not good news that he's going to be out a couple weeks, no matter what. But why he was going to be out, no matter what, no matter the report or not. So that's why I kind of wonder why that was thrown out there. But maybe it's an optimistic thing. Maybe you could be optimistic that the fact that they put it out there, the fact that Willie Green is saying something that he will be back. Although it's hard to get all that positive because he's not on the basketball floor.
I guess another silver lining is that the Pelicans have a pretty easy schedule for the remaining rest of the season here. According to Tankathon, they've got the 4th easiest schedule in the league. That being said, you look at the schedule, they've got the Thunder, Blazers, and Lakers are their next 3 games.
Those are huge.
Those are all play-in teams that they're competing with to hang around in the play-in tournament. Then they got the Rockets a couple of times, the Spurs and the Hornets. Those are winnable games even without Zion. So if they're able to get a couple of wins against those fellow play-in contenders and then take care of business against the bottom of the league, they can continue to tread water, which they've started to do a little bit more recently. They sank pretty hard, but they've found a level here, at least a little bit.
Yeah, one game we didn't talk about with Mark earlier on in this podcast was the Pelicans beating the Mavs last night. And we slipped in the news of Luka leaving that game, but CJ McCollum just took over. Incredible fourth quarter performance and got them a much needed victory with obviously some of their superstars missing this. So we'll see if he can, like, CJ McCollum is one of those type of players. We've seen it before. He can go on little runs, streaks, where he can carry teams to wins for a couple games. But you said there with that schedule, these are huge games for their chances to just stick around the play-in conversation, get in, and then maybe hope, fingers crossed, that Zion somehow returns. But I mean, look, we've got LeBron out, we've got Zion out, Karl Anthony Towns is still out. Who knows with KD here? Who knows with Luka here? These are some big superstar names, a lot of them there in the Western Conference that were like just waiting. We don't even, and I don't even know, I'm not even convinced like how many of those names I just listed are even back in any regular season action. There is not that much time left until the playoffs are here. We're hitting almost a month and change, right?
Yeah, you got to play basically like 500 ball for these teams that are sort of in the play-in picture, because not all these teams are going to be that great. It's basically down to just win one, lose one. I'm sort of optimistic about the Pels in that. I don't know. I feel like they're coming around a little bit. The Dyson Daniels insertion into the lineup, I think, helps. There's another G League Ignite graduate. They're playing hard. I think. I think that'll help CJ McCollum. I'm not sure why the Mavs didn't throw a Josh Green on him at the end of the games. He was just burning everybody out there at the end. But I've got some hopes for the Pelicans, and I say, you just got to win one, lose one, because the Jazz are falling off a little bit. You just got to tread water, and I think the Pels can do that. But it's quite crowded.
Final piece of news here. Udonis Haslem is officially retiring after the NBA season ends. I think a lot of people assume this, but that is the word coming from him and the Heat. They announced, the Heat did, that there's going to be a 305 day, and that is going to celebrate his 20-year career. And they're going to do it over 4 days. 4 days of 40, they're calling it. Listen to this. I wanted to take you through what the Miami Herald is reporting for the celebration for Haslem as he nears the end of his 20-year career. It starts on March 23rd with an ongoing digital content series dedicated to Haslem. The next day, on March 24th, they're going to release the UD collection, which is 4 new Haslem shirts, which you can buy in their store. Then, the Heat will host UD Night during March 25th game against the Nets, a home game, obviously. During an in-game break, there's going to be a newly dedicated Section 305 at the arena that'll be unveiled to honor Haslem. So he's going to get his own little section there. And then it ends the next night on March 26th, which is like their Miami Heat Family Festival. And that's going to feature Haslem-themed activations and experiences. So 4 days of 40 for Haslem. Any thoughts? It's the right way to do
I'm
it.
interested in the Udonis Haslem activation.
Me too.
What's that going to be?
I don't know.
Shoot a baseline jumper? You get to, like, instead of one of those things where you punch it as hard as you can and it shows you how hard it is, you foul it as hard as possible.
That's good, yeah.
I just watched a clip of Udonis Haslem explaining his flagrant foul on Tyler Hansbrough in the 2012 playoffs. Incredible. It was awesome. What an interesting career this guy's had.
Yeah.
Undrafted, and now he's played 20 years. There probably should be more Udonis Haslems. When you look at an NBA roster, like the 15th guy, off in a two-way, like the Bulls is Marko Simonovic for like the past few years. He never plays either. You would probably rather have a voice like Udonis Haslem in the locker room than a guy who maybe is a bit of a project. So I don't think it's a coincidence that you've got a guy like UD who has been there since the D. Wade and Shaq days. Now it's the Jimmy Butler days, and the culture has remained constant. Yeah. You got to have guys like that, and he's one of the best at it.
And he was a champ. He was starting on that championship team. I guess the difference between a guy coming in now and a UD would be, if you want to stick around the league, you got to have a three-point shot. UD came in the right time where he could have a mid-range jumper, and he was money. He was really, really good at it, then became a vet. He's been a vet for a long time.
I know. I think there are NBA fans that don't even realize how good Haslem actually was, how much he did contribute to championship teams, because it's been so long that he's been the end of the bench. He's basically an extension. He's a coach at this point.
Yeah,
right?
No, there's no doubt. Yeah, he was an option on that team. He was sort of an outlet. He'd bang home a shot, no problem. He got it done.
Gave his blood, sweat, and tears to Miami, so that's why they're celebrating a guy, 20-year NBA career, but he is officially done at the end of the season. Will the Heat use that for motivation? Was this part of his
win one for
play
UD?
Here? Yeah, right. Watch him rally here. Well, they didn't get it done last night. Let's get to the pick'em results. They had some points to play with, too. They were 2.5-point dogs at home, and they lost by 4. Got real close when Hero hit that 3, but in the end, Cleveland covered, and Tas had it right. You're 3-3. Trey's 4-2. That's a great record. I am 1-5. Turns out that is not. Man, I am making you some money if you were fading me right now. I have no feel on these. What's tonight's game? Where am I going to go wrong tonight?
Yeah, there's 6 games on the sched, and I saw this line where the Milwaukee Bucks were favored by 12.5 against the hard-playing Brooklyn Nets. Had to check. Why the heck are the Brooklyn Nets now?
Yeah,
it's 13.5 actually. Yeah, it's moved down to 12.5, but we're going with the 13.5 point line. There are a lot of injuries for the Brooklyn Nets, so that's why. I mean, I wouldn't want to take the Bucks either. It's just too big a line, even with Spencer Dinwiddie, Nick Claxton, Cam Johnson, and Royce O'Neal out, along with Ben Simmons. But I'll take the Bucks because you guys took the Nets.
So the Bucks. Because I took the Nets. That's your real answer. That's like, Skeet's taking them. Fade that.
Yeah, we just got a dumb rule in here that we can't have 3 people pick the same team. So you got to win by 14 points if you're taking the Milwaukee Bucks.
Trade?
Sure.
All right.
No.
Okay, we'll swap.
Okay.
Trade back.
Trade back. You got the Bucks.
Yeah, nice.
You're going to win it. Trust me. You're going to win it. I guarantee it. They're going to win by 25. Especially with all those guys you said that were out.
That's a lot of bodies.
That's a lot of bodies.
Well, McKelbridge is going to shoot a lot tonight.
Yeah, good point. Can he go for another 30 burger? Maybe even more. Okay, let's get to tweet of the night.
Tweet of the night. Wow. Twitter.
All right, tweet of the night from @TheVolumeSports, and it said @Money23Green, Draymond Green, responds to Dillon Brooks' comments. So here is a clip of Draymond on his own podcast talking about one Dillon Brooks. Here it is.
This idiot said, I don't know what Draymond does out there. He said, I don't like Draymond at all. You don't know me. I just don't like Golden State. I quite frankly wouldn't like a team that beats me all the time either. I don't like anything to do with them. Quite frankly, you were a little kid in high school watching us win championships. Should be happy that you even witnessed that. Or maybe college, but you get the point. You're a fan. Draymond talks a lot. You talk a lot now, so if you have 4 rings, sure, you talk a lot more. For All-Stars, you probably talk a bit more. Defensive Player of the Year, you for damn sure would talk more. 2 Olympic gold medals, you definitely would be talking, because that would mean you beat Team USA, and we all know how that goes. So gets away with a lot, too. What exactly do I get away with? I have 15 texts, 1 less than your dumb ass. Okay, great. His game is cool. If you ever wondered why the Memphis Grizzlies is not ready to compete for a championship, look no further than this idiot right here. They're actually depending on this guy to help them win a championship. And he says his game is cool. Quite frankly, that just shows how little you know about basketball.
So again, that was a small taste of Draymond going line by line, ripping apart Dillon Brooks, or at least coming back, clapping back at him.
That's like a fired Joe Morgan post.
That is a great point. Wow.
Incredible
nice
production
reference.
work to highlight each individual line. Come back to Draymond dropping a zinger. Absolutely right about Team USA and Canada. Great stuff. But it is interesting because, I mean, Draymond is 100% right here. I think.
Well, he does get away with things on talking to officials. That's one thing Dillon poked a hole. He said he gets away with stuff. And he said, well, I have 15 texts. He could have 50 texts with the amount of talks. That's the only thing. The Memphis Grizzlies do talk a lot.
Memphis Grizzlies talk
totally
a lot. But
true.
the thing that's interesting to me when I see this is you compare Draymond and Dillon Brooks' game, and the question for Dillon Brooks is always, why are you shooting so much? And the question for Draymond is, this guy never shoots.
Yeah.
one of them works.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we had it in that particular part of the clip, but the part where he is really just ripping Dillon Brooks apart as an NBA player is when he's like, your team hates you. Like, he goes on to say that. He says, they don't like you. Like, I'm a character, I'm loud, but my team likes me. They go, my teammates, you know, they know what I bring to the table. This is from Draymond, of course, on his own damn show, but he is really saying, that ain't the case. And he's making it sound like, I know that's not the case. You think fans don't like you, Dillon Brooks? You don't think I don't like you? Your own teammates don't like you. I was like, whoa. I almost started feeling bad for Dillon Brooks at that point. Oh, jeez.
I mean, Draymond did punch a teammate in the face less than a year ago.
Yeah.
And Dillon Brooks' teammates, I did love him.
Yeah.
That's right. That's what I mean. That's the part I was confused about.
I don't know. Draymond's on the court with them. Yeah. Draymond talks to him.
Draymond's not his teammates, though.
That's true.
Yeah, that's a little reach, I think.
I know.
But hey, a very well cut video.
Yeah,
nice to see Dre in the shorts game.
I mean, it wasn't really even a short.
You gotta do it.
It was like a 2.5 minute clip. It was made for YouTube, Twitter.
That's a full clip, huh?
Yeah.
I think you can put it on Talk now as well. You can put some long clips on the Talk.
Okay, great. All right, let's hear your opinions on Draymond Green clapping back at Dillon Brooks, who had comments about him, and two guys that are loved by a lot of fan bases in the NBA. Let's call it there. We got to thank our friend Mark Rizzo for coming on the show. Screenplay writer for the new movie Champions, which comes out tomorrow, Friday, March 10th. Go check it out in theaters. I think you're really going to enjoy it. New No Buffs, our Survivor recap podcast, coming up in mere hours. Less than 2 hours. We'll be live over at No Buffs on YouTube. We'll flip it into a podcast recapping last night's episode. Can't wait for that. And tomorrow, it's the Drop podcast. Already. What do you want us to talk about? Maybe you got a question or two. Send it in to nodunks@theathletic.com or tweet it in at NoDunksInc. Worst of the week nominees, rapid fire fun. There are 6 games on tonight. We do some big picture topics usually on the drop, but if you have a question or two, maybe we'll hit the beach. So send that in. Till tomorrow, Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us, and remember, listening is a skill you can work on.
Brace the day, people.